Hello! This video is to help you strengthen and stretch your hips and hamstrings. So if you are tight in these areas or they need some attention, this short video is for you. Going to begin lying supine, coming all the way down onto the back, taking some deep breaths into the belly, letting the belly rise and fall. Maybe using the fingertips to walk the shoulders away from the ears. Breathing in deeply through the nose if you can, or a small opening in the mouth. Placing feet flat on mat, about hip distance apart. Going to tilt the pelvis towards the heart, letting the small of the back press into the mat. Maybe you'd like to add arms with this. Not reaching for any particular thing behind you, just moving at a range of motion that is comfortable for your shoulders. So pressing the small of the back into the mat and letting the natural curvature of the spine come back. Pressing the heels into the mat, placing a block just underneath your sacrum. I suggest the medium or low height. Today I'm feeling low. Now here in this shape you should be pressing into the feet, drawing the weight away from the chest and head. Magnetizing the thighs together, but everything else can be soft. Can adjust the head and neck as necessary so they're not weight bearing. Breathing deeply into the belly, hopefully with more ease as we have the psoas on slack. And then pressing through the feet to lift the hips off the block, rolling spine back down towards the earth. Can draw the knees in to massage the lower back into the mat, or loop the big toe of each foot with the forefinger of each hand for happy baby. Can roll over onto one side, come up to be seated, and swing your legs around for table position. Coming onto all fours, bringing wrists just underneath shoulders or a little wider, and bringing knees just below hips or a little wider. Going to drop the belly, drawing the heart through the arms, and then curving the spine towards the ceiling, bringing ears in between biceps. Leading with the sternum and not the chin, maybe even tucking the chin slightly so the back of the neck is long. You can also bring fists to the mat if for any reason your wrists are uncomfortable. Pressing one foot into the mat behind you for a hamstring stretch, and then lifting that foot off the mat. Lower body warm up. Going to start with wiggling or pointing the toes, and then bringing some motion into the ankle, knee, and hip joint. You can bring knee to mat and cat-cow to release. Pressing the opposite foot into the mat. Can roll on the balls of the foot for a different stretch sensation, and then lifting that foot off the mat. Lower body warm up on this side, toes, ankle, knee, and hip. Bringing knee to mat. Can release with a little cat-cow with the breath. Lifting the other leg behind you. We're We're going to raise opposite arm for upper body warm-up, so motion in fingers, wrist, elbow, and shoulder. And can hold if you like. Bringing hands and knees to mat. Can move through some cat-cow. Going to lift the opposite leg. Opposite arm comes up. Fingers, wrists, elbow, and shoulder movements. Can bring hands and knees to mat. Release with cat-cow. Or make your knees as wide as the mat and push the hips onto the heels for child's pose. Maybe you bring a block underneath your forehead, or you can roll up a blanket, towel, or sweatshirt and place it anywhere on your legs that feels comfortable. Today I'm going to put mine right about at my ankles for a little more support for my hips. Taking a deep breath into the belly, letting it fall towards the earth, pressing forearms into the mat, pressing hips back towards the heels. Breathing in and out through the nose if you can. Removing the props and placing your blocks at the top of your mat. Stepping 1 foot through your feet, 1 foot through your hands, and using the body to bring the torso upright. Can bring your arms down by your sides or behind you, anything to draw your shoulder blades closer together for a little chest opener. We'll grab our blocks and work on our runner's lunge, bending the front knee, and then straightening the front knee without moving the foot. Can roll through a couple times with your own breath, at your own pace, honoring your own body's limitations. If you don't want to come all the way down, or you feel like you can't do it with control, just keep rolling forward and back, bending the front knee. Going to bring a block to the inside of the foot and bring fists, palms, or forearms to the block. Taking a deep breath into the belly, letting the face be soft, letting the tongue be soft inside the mouth. Using the block to roll the torso up, and can use the blocks to swap legs. We're going to start with our little chest opener first, so arms can be down by the sides, maybe behind you. And then bending the front knee and straightening the front knee, keeping the foot on the mat. You can also have a blanket underneath that grounded knee if that is helpful or comfortable for you. Moving at your own pace with your own breath. Rolling through a couple of times. Then can bring the block to the inside of the foot with fists, palms, or forearms to the block. Breathing in deeply. Bringing the palms to the mat can frame the front foot, and curling under back toes, lift the knee off the mat. Use the body to bring the torso upright. Hands on hips to square hips to the front of the mat. Can adjust the stance at any time for balance and comfort. Bend and straighten the front knee. The back knee will also bend a little bit, spine will come straight, and then try and press just your heel back towards the mat. Take a deep breath into the belly and decide where you'd like your arms. Maybe they're at heart center or down by your sides or overhead. Something that brings you maybe balance or joy. Can bring palms to front thigh, weight in that front foot, stepping the back foot up to meet it. Going to pause for a moment in mountain, arms down by your sides, breathing in easily. Forward fold, palms to mat, bending your knees as much as necessary, and pressing the opposite foot behind you. Walking your hands up the body, torso comes upright. Hands on hips to square to the front of the mat. Bend and straighten the front knee. The back knee will dip a little bit, spine will come straight, and then trying to press just the heel back towards the mat. Deciding what you'd like to do with your arms. Deep breath in and out through the nose. Bringing hands to thigh, weight in the front foot, stepping the back foot up to meet it. Pausing just for a moment. We're going to work on our forward fold, so I'm going to grab a block. My hamstrings are pretty tight. It's nice if you have some distance between your feet and the block if you use one. You can also bring your hands to your thighs or your shins or the mat if you're more flexible than me. Hands on hips to come up standing with a flat back. Can release with any sort of motion that feels good, maybe rolling the shoulders, can swing side to side. I'm checking my notes. We're going to fold forward again towards the block. And then can remove the prop, bring palms to the mat, bending your knees as much as necessary, stepping back into downward facing dog. Bend your knees as much as necessary to keep a straight spine. Can pedal out the feet or adjust the stance. Pressing your shoulders into your arm bones, see if you feel some shoulder engagement there. Bringing knees to mat. Can cat-cow or child's pose, your choice. Using props whenever is comfortable for you. Taking a deep breath into the belly. Coming up onto hands and knees and removing the prop. Can swing the legs around to be in front of you. Might have to use the hands to move some flesh around so that the sits bones are making contact with the mat. Let one leg go long and draw the opposite foot in, any place that's comfortable. Sitting up nice and tall. Oh, can have a block underneath your knee, thigh, or hip. Maybe sitting up tall is enough stretch. Or you can hinge from the hips, drawing the sternum towards the big toe. And roll back up. Can place the foot on the inside of the knee, lassoing the knee with the opposite elbow, reaching up and behind you, slowly rotating the torso towards that backhand. If breathing into the belly is not accessible in this shape, can move the air to the ribs or the chest. We'll slowly unwind back towards center. Again, adjusting so sits bones are making contact, and then bringing in opposite foot. any place that feels comfortable, propping up that bent leg with a block. Sitting upright might be plenty of stretch, or you draw the heart towards the big toe. That's literally as much stretch as I have. That's how tight my hamstrings are. Your stretch may look different. Rolling back up and bringing the soles to meet in front of you. Can use props underneath the knees, thighs, or hips. And your heels can be as close or as far away as is comfortable. Sitting up nice and tall, can hold here or can hinge sternum towards heels. So moving through the hips, not collapsing through the waist, keeping a flat back. Rolling up and hands under knees to bring legs together safely. I'm going to remove the blocks, come onto our backs, but have your belt nearby. We're going to cross one ankle over opposite knee. And then place that same palm either on thigh or knee. Press it gently towards your toes. Feeling some opening. You can take a deep breath into the belly there. And then lift that grounded foot off the mat. You can bring hands behind that thigh or over that shin, or maybe a belt. Not pulling or straining. You can see my arms are relaxed on the mat, just holding the leg in place. Can sway side to side. Can lift your leg towards the ceiling. Spending some time exploring the sensations in this shape. Bringing both feet to mat and removing the belt. Maybe you notice that the hips feel different one from the other. You can draw knees into chest or happy baby to release. Bringing both feet back to the mat, crossing the opposite ankle over knee. Again, using that same palm to press gently towards the toes. Lifting the grounded foot off the mat, using belt or hands to draw the thigh towards the chest. Can rock side to side. Lift the supported leg. Face can be soft. Breathing in and out through the nose. Taking a moment to explore different sensations in this shape. Can come up to sitting, feet flat on the mat, knees bent, hands behind you with your fingers either pointing towards you or away from you. Going to start small, just lifting the tush off the mat, trying to grow the motion so that the hips are in line with the knees. We'll pause when we have a shape that we're happy with. Holding for just a moment, breathing into the belly. I wasn't happy with my wrists here, so I'm going to change my setup and come back into it. Head is straight, gazing over the knees. Taking any motion you like to release. Here I'm going to make my feet about as wide as my mat and swing the knees one way and then the other like windshield wipers. This can be a pretty intense hip stretch, so if it's not for you, just skip it. You can bring hands under knees, feet flat on the mat. We're going to bring one foot to 90 degrees and then the other. can hold here, keeping torso strong. You can let go with your arms. If you like more challenge, you can press your feet straight forward, straightening the legs, or bring arms overhead. Feet should stay separated. Can rock your heels down to the mat, taking any motion that feels good to release, doing some seated cat-cow. Getting set up again, hands underneath, coming up tall. This time we're just going to rock back into the smallest part of ourselves that can touch the mat. Legs at a 90-degree angle. Drawing the sternum towards the heels. Hands underneath to rock forward, feet to mat. Doing some seated cat-cow and windshield wipering the knees. Checking my notes again. Going to place a block on both sides of the mat and have your belt nearby. Feet flat on the mat, lasso the sole of one foot and press the sole towards the ceiling, bending your knee as much as necessary. Can cross the foot across the body and then open up as wide as feels good. Can support with blocks under the calf or thigh. And maybe that grounded leg goes long, or maybe it stays bent to support your lower back. To release, foot goes back towards the ceiling and then down to the ground, pushing through the heel slowly and with control. Can lasso the opposite foot. Same thing, we're going to start with both knees bent, one facing the ceiling, one meeting the mat. Can cross across the body and then open up as wide as feels good. Using props to help. I'm using a block there under my leg, although you can't see it. And can keep that grounded knee bent or can let that leg go long along the mat, whatever feels comfortable. Paying attention to your body. Taking a deep breath into the belly. Lifting the leg back towards ceiling and slowly lowering through the heel. Can remove the belt and draw both knees into the chest, maybe for a hug or maybe happy baby. Hugging both knees into the chest. Keep one knee hugged in and place the other foot on the mat with your knee bent. You can decide if you'd like to let that leg go long. And the knee that's hugged in, you can point your knee towards your chin or out towards your shoulder. Tuck your tailbone towards your heels and lift that grounded leg off the mat just a couple inches. Can release the leg to the mat. Can let both legs go long for a big stretch. Or can draw both of your knees into your chest for a hug. Massaging the lower back into the mat. Keeping opposite knee hugged in. Can start with a bent knee or let the leg go long. Deciding if you want your knee that's hugged in to be pointing towards your chin or shoulder. Can tuck tailbone towards heels and lift that long leg off the mat. Can release all things down to the mat. Releasing all the work you did today. Maybe walk fingertips down towards feet to draw the shoulders away from the ears. Taking a deep breath into the belly, breathing in and out through the nose if you can. We'll bring some movement to the fingers and toes. Maybe this movement turns into a stretch, but either way you'll end up on your side. And from there you can come up to be seated. Thank you for joining me for practice today. I hope to see you all again soon.